If I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to do synthesizer, no blast beat English lyrics songs, I do it.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time on the channel, hit subscribe right now. An absolutely beautiful album is the new Noktvrn by der WEG EINER FREIHEIT. The avant-garde black metal band really outdid themselves on this album, and so I sat down with singer Nikita for an in-depth conversation. Okay, Nikita, thank you so much for your time today. When we're recording this, we're about a week away from the release of Noktvrn. That's exciting. And to get things straight, well, first of all, you're now also singing in English for a few songs. And to be very clear, the spelling of Noktvrn has nothing to do with trying to be extremely true cult black metal. There's more meaning behind the spelling. Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's true in a way. The album title is very much inspired by Frédéric Chopin's Nocturnes. These are 21 piano pieces, his so-called nighttime pieces, and I like them a lot, and I know every single piece of them. So it was a big inspiration, and when it was clear, like, I actually want to do an album about the night and about the thoughts and emotions you have while sleeping, dreaming, and in the world in between, I had the idea to just name it somehow, like some nocturnal. There's a Black Dahlia Murder album that's called Nocturnal, so I couldn't call it like this. But I just had the sheet music actually from Chopin lying on my desk, and it said Nocturnes. So I thought, like, well, let's take this name and turn it into something a little bit different. So I switched the C of Nocturne to a K, and the U to a V. The V because Nocturne is our fifth album, and the V is like the Roman number for 5. And after all, these two letters, K and the V, they are very edgy, and they are like sharp, which is our music. It's still black metal. It's still some aggressive, sharp music in the main parts. Of course, there are rather softer parts as well. So changing these letters to, like, from a C and a U, which are rather softer shaped letters, to sharp shaped letters was the idea.
The album sort of, picks up where the last album left off with, a part 2 of Finisterre, and it kind of, do I interpret correctly that it is kind of like the listener being put to sleep and enters that dream world or dream state within everything else that follows? Or is that not how I should interpret it at all?
Yeah, you can definitely say this. It was meant as a obvious album intro. We didn't want to start right with the first track and be there. With Finisterre 2, we wanted to have some moment of silence. Of course, it's not silent, but a moment of listen closely first before the first track starts. So the listener should get the way into the album in a softer way, and that's because that's why the intro is played with an acoustic guitar, very soft and silent, and something that has nothing to do with black metal or something in the first place. But I had the impression that the album needed this kind of transition between the very harsh ending of Finisterre or the whole album for me is a harsh and aggressive album, more than the other releases, and so there was some kind of transition needed, and that is Finisterre and the Finisterre 2. And the reason why I chose the title Finisterre 2 was just, well, everyone knows about the current state of the world, and not only the pandemic, but many other things. So with Finisterre, the album, I wanted to address many of these problems. Not the pandemic, because it wasn't present at that time, but many other problems. And right now, not too many things improved, actually, and many things got even worse. So the idea was to have this kind of somehow pessimistic thought also present on the new album, but just at the beginning, because in the progress of the new album, it gets more and more brighter, and it gets more and more, more optimistic in a way, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, and the calming, the soothing introduction is then followed by Monument, which truly kicks off the album with beautiful use of horns, but then a powerful song followed by Am Rande der Dunkelheit, if I pronounce that somewhat properly.
Yeah, that's good.
For me, those two songs are probably my favorite of the album, but, and I haven't really figured out which one yet. But they then properly blast off the album. Obviously, you've released Monument already as a video, playthrough video. There's a couple of other singles that you've released, or videos that you've released. One of them is Morgen, with a very intriguing choreography of a dancer that we follow through that video. So the way that I interpret that choreography, and I, it was like a back and forth I felt between the main character having to put on in the light, in the day, in maybe that's their job or social interactions, some sort of a facade, but then only to mask a slow decay into madness internally when that person is not in that state. Is that sort of what I needed to interpret that as, or did I miss the boat?
No, that's basically the main idea. Every person somehow has his or her inner struggles, demons to fight with, and most of the time, and especially because all the album is based on the night. The night is mostly a moment or a time frame you spend alone, or maybe with your partner, but most of the time you're alone. When you sleep, you're alone for yourself. You're in your own world. And with this video, we wanted to show that you have to somehow fight with yourself, with your inner self, to be able to control the outer world. Not to control it like in the way you want to have it,
right.
Not in this way, but to maybe better live with some circumstances from the outer world. Like in the ending of the video, for example, you see the main character, after fighting with herself, standing on the top of a building with the morning light and sunrise, and suddenly, all of a sudden, he feels like he accomplished a kind of controlling over himself, over the world he sees, he wants to see, maybe, and he's happy for a moment. You see him dancing and everything. With moments before, he's just getting crazy, and that's what we wanted to show.
Okay. Another video that you've released is for the song Immortal. One thing that is little bit more surprising in this song is that some of these lyrics are very clear to understand, and that's because you work with, your label mate, David Mako, aka the Devil's Trade, from the dark country world, if you will. How was that? How did that collaboration go? And also, because it's such a different song, what have you seen a very different reaction from your traditional fans?
It definitely was a song release we were looking forward the most in terms of getting to know the reactions by the fans, because it combines so many new things in one song. It was the guest vocal part. We never had a guest vocal part before. It's the English lyrics. The song doesn't have any blast beats, which is not too common for our music as well. For me personally, it was a very important song for the evolution of the band on this album. It opened up many new ideas and doors for me. And maybe a very interesting thing is, and that's also the reason why this album is called Noktvrn and it's based around the night and everything, is one night in 2019, or rather early morning, I woke up between 4 or 6 a.m. or something like that. So still in kind of a world in between sleep and dream. And it was rather a dream. And the basic structure of this song, Immortal, came to my mind, like this very basic bass line and the basic drums. It's not something technical or difficult or something, but I had this whole structure from the beginning, the verse parts, the build-up and the chorus, all in my head and in this dream, you could say. And I found this so fascinating and inspiring that I wanted to know if there's something more in these nightly thoughts and emotions that emerge in your dreams, and maybe I could use it like as an inspiration. And I did. I wrote all the lyrics for the album in the night, not the music, but the lyrics. So while for all the previous releases, I actually only worked at daytime, which is the normal kind of way. I just wanted to do this twist and turn the creative phases to the nighttime.
Immortal is one of two surprising songs. You had all these anxiety-driven extreme songs, and then for me, Haven is the listener waking up, and similar to the end of Morgen, where you have that feeling of like a new day, maybe even a sort of a rebirth almost. Is that what you were trying to get at?
Yeah, definitely. This track was, if I remember correctly, it was the first song I wrote for the album.
Yeah.
And after this song, I wrote Immortal. So yeah, these two songs, the most special songs on the album, were the first two songs. And my bandmates, I showed the songs to them, and they said like, okay, is this how the album will sound like? But of course, the other songs followed, which are rather, in a way, more traditional, let's say. And Haven, it had to be the closing track because I think the band generally is going into a more in a brighter direction, let's call it like this. Like the previous albums, and especially Finisterre, were always quite
very dark. Yes.
Yeah, and I feel like me as a person, you always, you get older, you get more experiences, and it's not that the negative emotions are taking the majority.
Yeah.
It's the positive emotions, and I wanted to also have this in the music.
Right.
And that's why I can imagine, and I hope, or maybe some fans don't want to hear this, but I can imagine that in the future, with future albums, the band gets an even more different direction.
For me, black metal is basically not caring what anybody else expects or wants or does, and just doing what you want to do. But there's also a lot of black metal purists that might not agree with that at all. For you, what does black metal represent for you?
Yeah, that's the always omnipresent controversy. Like the roots of black metal are like doing something different, doing like revolting against the current music scene or society and everything. And now bands are doing exactly the same, like they are doing new things and experimenting a lot and revolting in a way as well. But now there's people don't want to have these bands. Of course I think we're one of the bands, and we read some comments here and there. We get like hated for what we do because we're doing new things, and we're not alone, of course. But
how dare you not have corpse paint and not wear leather as a black metal band? How dare you?
Yeah, how is that possible? But at least I grew my hair in the meantime, so. But bands like Isan or, of course, earlier Emperor, they are so important for the scene and for me personally, because they showed me that there's another way and a more like maybe a risky way to try out new things, but in the end you as a musician, or I can speak for myself, I want to develop as a musician and as a human being in general, and what other people think of that, I don't care. If I want to do synthesizer, no blast beat, English lyrics songs, I do it. And I did that on the new album. And I always wanted to like have a steady progress in new music I'm writing. But especially on Finistère, I had the impression, of course, it's a solid album and many people appreciate it. But for me personally, I thought I didn't try new things enough with it. After I released Finistère, I thought like, well, at this point or that point, I could have done more in a certain direction. And that's why on the new album, so many new things happen.
That way of innovation that Emperor has shown you is the way of freedom, and that brings us beautifully back to the name of the band as well. Nikita, I wish we could spend hours more talking about all the meanings behind all the songs and the emotions that you are channeling on this beautiful and haunting new album, but we won't have the time for that, unfortunately. I want to thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful album, and
thank you.
Some people might feel like, how can you call black metal a beautiful album? Well, then they just have to listen to Noktvrn and they'll understand what we're talking about. I wish you all the best with the release of the album, and I want to thank you for it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, likewise. It was a pleasure. It was a very nice talk. It's always good to have a nice flow, and I had that today with you. So thank you very much.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.